How's it going, wrestling fans? And welcome back to Leg Slapper for all things professional wrestling. Today's video is going to be a little bit different than what we've seen on the channel, and it'll be a video series releasing on the Sunday of every week in which we look back at the previous week of wrestling to see what we loved, what we didn't love, what could be improved, what might happen moving forward, and what hopefully won't happen moving forward. Essentially, this is the weekly roundup. So let's just get right into a week of WWE wrestling. And I think before we get into any of the shows in depth, I think honestly what we need to talk about first is the European crowds, which have been incredible. Seriously, the European crowds are absolutely putting North American crowds to shame. That's both across America and Canada. When the WWE has televised events in Europe and we see the crowds reacting the way they do on a regular episode of Raw, on a regular episode of SmackDown, it just makes me wonder what is going on with North American crowds. Why are we so boring? Why are we so lame? We really need to up our game. And yes, I have seen some criticisms of some people saying that, the European crowds are too rowdy and it gets in the way a little bit. And I have to disagree. Now, a lot of American fans of wrestling like to say that because they bought a ticket, they should have the right to do whatever they want to do. And realistically, you should be able to do whatever you want to do. The problem is, as a fan, you would hope that every other fan is just as hyped as you are. And I know when I go to wrestling shows, I'm generally pretty disappointed in how the fans are. And now watching all these European shows, it's really making me want to go to Europe to watch a wrestling show in person to be able to see what an actual good crowd is like. Not only are North American crowds sometimes really boring and make moments worse, but sometimes they cheer for people that I'm like, I can't even understand why we're cheering for this person if the internet wrestling community only complains about old timers coming back, looking at people who are hyped for a Goldberg-Gunther match for some reason. So yes, to start, absolutely special shout out goes to the European crowds for being a major win for the WWE for this week of television program. First, let's tackle Monday Night Raw. Now, a lot happened on Monday Night Raw, and actually this is one of the most critiqued episodes of Raw I've seen since we moved to the Netflix era. And honestly, I'm with the fans on this one. This episode of Raw was a bit of a miss. But before we get to any of the bad, let's stick to the good. So what did I love about Monday Night Raw this week? And the first thing that has to be talked about is that John Cena heel promo. It was so good. And yes, part of the reason it was good is because it was fresh, it was new, it was something we haven't seen from Cena in a very long time, and it was something that a lot of people weren't actually sure Cena was going to be able to do to an adequate extent. But I think Cena knocked it out of the park. I know some people have been saying it was a generic promo, it was a simple promo, it was a basic heel promo, but honestly, I kind of loved it. And while you can have your opinion of the John Cena promo, I actually think people are misguided in thinking it was bad. Yeah, it was basic, but it didn't need to be anything over the top. It didn't need to be anything sensational. This is John Cena explaining why he's a bad guy. That's all we needed it to be. It didn't need to be a whole what's going on with The Rock. It didn't need to be, what's he gonna do to Cody Rhodes. I just want to know why John Cena turned on the fan. And I had that question answered. John Cena broke up with me. My heart was broken. That kid's heart was broken. And you can't tell me that that promo was not good when John Cena handled that rowdy European crowd better than anybody else on the roster could have. And that's whether they're heel or face. I'm not even a big John Cena fanboy, but John Cena absolutely put on a clinic with that promo. I think this promo will be talked about years from now. It may be controversial right now, but I think John Cena showed the entire WWE roster and the entire wider WWE universe of fans exactly how good he could be as a heel and exactly what every heel in the company needs to be doing moving forward. Sometimes simpler is better. And that's without mentioning that we have a whole month still to build to WrestleMania. We still have another 4 weeks for this match to get even more exciting, and I'm already as pumped as can be. And then you had Cody Rhodes come out. And yes, Cody Rhodes didn't really have a lot to do with the segment, and I can understand that criticism. That is a fair criticism. But at the same time, this was John Cena's promo. I didn't need the John Cena versus Cody Rhodes promo battle here. What I needed was John Cena to explain and needed Cody Rhodes to come out and be like, well, you know what, John? I'm still gonna kick your ass. And what happened? That's exactly what happened. Now, Cody may have only been out for a few minutes, but he made his point clear. He wants to face 100% Cena. He doesn't want to face whiny heel Cena. He wants to face the real John Cena, which gives us a lot of interesting avenues to move forward. So all in all, even though a lot of people seem to be split on this promo, I think this was one of the most effective promo spots the WWE has had in quite a while that didn't just feature Cody Rhodes or Drew McIntyre. Now what else? What else did I love about Monday Night Raw? Well, you know what else I loved about Monday Night Raw? I loved Penta. Penta is always fun to watch on Raw, and this was a particularly big episode for him. One might even say this is probably the biggest episode that Penta has had thus far. Not only did Penta officially put an end to the feud with Ludwig Kaiser in what was a fun match, but now we also have a Penta who is focused in on getting the Intercontinental Championship. I mean, come on, you're gonna tell me that you're not excited about a potential Penta versus Braun Breaker match at WrestleMania? That's absolutely insane. And that match could only get crazier if it ends up being a multi-man match if you pull in guys like Finn Balor, like Dominic Mysterio. If you pull in Sheamus, there's a lot that can be done with the Intercontinental Championship division right now, and I think we're only moving forward into a very, very exciting spot for WrestleMania 41. Now, like I said, Penta had a really big week. Having Penta go over Ludwig Kaiser in a feud that I think also elevated Ludwig Kaiser was excellent. And then at the same time, having Penta stake his claim and then later on at the end of the show come out to help and protect the Intercontinental Champion before making it clear, hey, I'm coming for your title. I think that really solidifies Penta as a tough guy, a strong guy, and a guy that can stand toe-to-toe with someone like Braun Breaker. And that's really important because right now the Intercontinental Championship scene is kind of in a weird flux where we don't know who is actually interested in getting that championship. We don't really know if AJ Styles wants to take a run at the IC title. We just know that AJ Styles is kind of in the picture. We don't know what Logan Paul is doing. Maybe he's interested in that. But right now we still have a month to build. We know that Penta's interested in it, and at the very least, Penta vs. Braun Breaker has the potential to be match of the year at WrestleMania if it is given enough time. As far as I'm concerned, those were the two big wins of Monday Night Raw. Yeah, there was lots of other great stuff on Raw, but I think now we need to move over into the things that I didn't love so much on Monday Night Raw. And the first thing that I'm going to say is something that a lot of people are going to agree with, and that's that the Jey Uso build is awful. Yes, I'm willing to go as far as to call it awful. The Jey Uso match is the match on WrestleMania that I care the least about, and that is shocking considering Jey Uso won the Royal Rumble. And it's also shocking considering Gunther is in the match. The problem is that every single block that has been put in place for this build is wrong. And you may say that's subjective, but when the majority of people are saying this is awful, at some point the larger crowd is bound to be right. Look, I don't even think that this build has to remain bad. I think it could be fixed very quickly and with minimal effort. But what's not going to help Jey Uso is having him have his long entrance, having a guy like Austin Theory, who fans already want to see go babyface so they can support him, having Jey Uso beat Austin Theory in what is like a 30-40 second match that ends with a crossbody because there's a botched spear. The problem is you're not helping anybody there. And even after that, having Gunther come out and attacking Jey, the problem is Gunther just keeps putting in the sleeper hold. We don't care about the sleeper hold. The sleeper hold is not a destructive move. I'm not watching Gunther put the sleeper hold on Jey Uso and I'm not going, oh my god, what are we gonna do? I'm going, wow, this is boring. What Gunther should be doing week after week after week, he should be walking into the ring after a Jey Uso match, before a Jey Uso match, and he should be powerbombing Jey Uso into the mat like 5 times. But every single week, Jey Uso should be doing a little bit better to fight back. He should get a little bit of offense. He should reverse something. It should look like Jey Uso's gonna get the advantage, but he just can't do it. And then maybe on their final confrontation heading into WrestleMania 41, Jey finally gets that moment to stand tall over Gunther, and that's where you go, maybe Jey can do it. Maybe he can overcome Gunther. But right now, we're in this build that's just, why are we doing this? Gunther does not look like a big deal when he's having competitive matches against Akira Tozawa and Otis. I love those guys. I think they had good matches. Unfortunately, neither of those guys are at the same level as Gunther, so Gunther looks a little foolish when those people are able to contend with him, the world champion. So yes, this build can be fixed and it should be fixed, and I really hope the WWE adjusts this, or if they put Jey Uso over at WrestleMania, he's at serious risk of being booed and sliding down the card very quickly. If we want this new world title to mean something, Jey Uso needs to mean something. And right now, unfortunately, the naysayers of Jey Uso who say he's just an entrance are kind of right. and it's just because of how he's being booked. We all know Jey Uso is an excellent wrestler. We all know Jey Uso is an excellent storyteller, and the same is true with Gunther. So why aren't we doing better? As for the other thing that I didn't really love about Raw, I'm actually gonna make it clear that this also applies to SmackDown, and it's just the disjointed nature of the shows. I think Raw has been doing a much better job with the overall pacing of the show now that it's at about 2.5 hours and they can flex up and down. But the problem is with SmackDown, it's stuck at 3 hours and it feels like it should also be reduced to 2.5 hours to make things a bit tighter and a bit more clean. What I'm specifically referring to with this is that for whatever reason, maybe the John Cena, Cody Rhodes segment ran a little long, rightfully so. It's John Cena. He can do whatever he wants. But the problem there is that the rest of Raw felt incredibly rushed. And while Raw has flown by a lot over the last few weeks, this Raw flew by in a way that wasn't so good. And I don't even really know how you would fix something like that. I think the real plan is just, if you're gonna give John Cena 30 minutes to do a promo segment on Raw, then you just need to be planning for a 2-hour wrestling show for the rest of the time. Meaning, we need to make sure that the amount of matches happening on Raw reflect the amount of time that those matches can have to be great. Because unfortunately, like I just said, and squash matches can be okay, but if you have Jey Uso winning against a guy like Austin Theory in 40 seconds, you get incredibly disliked videos when they're uploaded onto YouTube. But that's it for Raw, so let's move over to NXT. And NXT this week was absolutely stacked. If I had to choose the best show of the week, I think overall, in terms of sheer quality, I think NXT was actually the best show this week in terms of promos, storytelling, and overall in-ring work. Speaking of in-ring work, one of the things that I loved from NXT this week was the United States Championship match between Chelsea Green and Sol Ruca. Those two ladies absolutely lit NXT on fire with their match. Sol Ruca is absolutely so impressive, and Chelsea Green continues to show the world why she deserves to be in a world title picture. When I am more interested in what Chelsea Green, the Women's United States Champion, is doing than Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair, that is not a good thing for the women's division. And it's additionally not good when I'm more interested in Chelsea Green appearing on NXT than I am watching the women on Friday Night SmackDown. Seriously, if you haven't watched that match, go watch it. It shows exactly why both these women should be in better positions than they currently are. Up next, I gotta say, I love double champ Stephanie Becerra. She holds herself like a champion. She oozes championship charisma. She is excellent. And I enjoyed the little segment of, you know what? I'm ready for a new challenge. Who's coming up my way? And of course, Jordynne Grace comes out, is taken out, surprisingly, by Jada Parker. And Jada Parker, someone who hadn't really wowed me in any type of way, whether in-ring or on the mic, came out and cut an excellent promo. I'm actually looking forward to seeing Jada Parker versus Stephanie Becerra, even if I don't think Jada Parker has a shot in hell of beating Stephanie Becerra. And that's without mentioning that Stephanie Becerra also has another title match against Fallon Henley, giving her 2 title matches in a single night at this upcoming week of NXT. Of course, a win like this should not be a surprise. Everybody loves Stephanie Becerra, and it's clear she's going to be a big deal. So it's really fun to watch her, and obviously, it'll be interesting to see how her dual championship reign moves forward on NXT. As far as things that I didn't like about NXT, I gotta say, Dark State, better known as Temu Shield, is really not doing anything interesting right now. The difference here is that the Shield, when they debuted, were immediately a big deal and immediately made a big impact. I have no idea what this Temu Shield team wants, and I don't really know who any of them are. I don't know their names. I only just learned their faction name on this episode of NXT. I just don't know what they want. I don't know why they're doing what they're doing. I don't know why I should care about them. And none of them have piqued my interest, whether doing a move in ring or saying something on the microphone, which again, is not good. If you're someone that watched the Shield when they debuted and watched their careers progress, you will probably hold the exact same opinion as me. And even go back and watch the Shield's debut. They were immediately a big deal. People immediately wondered what they want, and they immediately let us know why they were there and what they were doing. So yeah, let's figure out what's going on with this new Shield-esque group, and hopefully let's give them something a little bit more interesting to do than just attacking people or showing up and suddenly chaos sprouts up everywhere for no real reason. But yeah, Solid episode of NXT. Good job. Up next, we have Friday Night SmackDown, and this was another fun SmackDown. Again, it did feel a little bit long, but these European crowds are going a long way in making a long show like SmackDown feel much better paced. One of my favorite aspects of Friday Night SmackDown this week was actually the opener, which was Randy Orton in a bit of a promo battle with Kevin Owens. And it's not really a surprise. Pretty much everybody loves Randy Orton. He's in that part of his career where he's the beloved veteran, but he still has the ability to go heel if he wants to, but right now he's perfectly solidified as a great babyface, and this promo on SmackDown really reminded me why Randy Orton is so good. He's not just excellent in the ring. Randy Orton is a lot of fun to listen to on the microphone. And that's whether he's cutting a promo by himself or actively going toe-to-toe with someone on the microphone. And there's not really a lot of people who could go toe-to-toe with Randy Orton on the microphone, and Kevin Owens is an excellent choice because Kevin Owens is another wrestler who is good at everything he does. I'm really enjoying the build to this match. I'm enjoying their heated feud. It's a lot of fun, and it feels like it's personal with both these guys. I love that Kevin Owens was like, Randy, like, we can still be friends. We could work this out and we could go to become the tag team champions at WrestleMania. And Randy's like, nah, you tried to end my career. I'm gonna try and end your career now. And for a guy like Randy Orton and for a guy like Kevin Owens, those are the exact type of motivations that I would expect. This match, this build, it feels real, it feels correct, and it feels perfectly in character for both guys, which is making it a lot of fun. And it helps that literally every single time either guy is in the ring or on the mic, they bring the best of the best. And next, there's actually a match on SmackDown that I liked a lot, and it was actually the match between the Street Profits and Legado del Fantasma. Because, oh my god, almost every single time I see Montez Ford, he has improved and he continues to mold himself into a guy that I can see splitting from a historic tag team and going on to have a really, really solid singles star career. Montez Ford keeps getting better on the mic, he keeps getting better in the ring, and when he has tag team matches like he did on Friday Night SmackDown, and again, credit to everybody else that was in that match. Everybody deserves their flowers. But the thing is, Montez Ford, every time he's in the ring, stands out as an absolute star, and I will not at all be surprised if he is a future world champion in the WWE further down the line. If he can keep doing what he's doing, he will quickly become an undeniable figure. And once the main event scene starts to spread out once again, as it does naturally from time to time, I think there will be a spot eventually for Montez Ford at the top of the card. Now let's get into things that I didn't love on Friday Night SmackDown, and they're the unfortunate things that I don't think anybody really liked about Friday Night SmackDown. The first of these two moments being the promo battle between Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair. Look, it was really, really weird. Now you could say that Charlotte was doing her job, she was being a heel, she was getting heat. What I would say instead is that Charlotte was stepping on Tiffany Stratton's toes and kind of coming across as unprofessional. Now what do I mean by that? Now maybe this whole segment was planned to the T and it happened exactly the way they wanted it to. The problem is Charlotte looks like she's a bitter veteran for real. The reason I say this is what you don't want to be doing in a promo is you don't want to be stepping on the other person's time to talk. And that's pretty much all Charlotte did. Go back and watch that promo again. Tiffany Stratton is struggling to figure out when she should begin to talk, and then she even kind of clumsily reiterates something she's already said because Charlotte won't actually take a second and stop. All I'm gonna say is I think that Charlotte needs to chill out a little bit because the heat that she got, with me at least, during that promo was not the type of heat that you want. She got what I like to call Alberto Del Rio heat. And it's the type of heat that makes me go, you're on screen. I have better things to put on TV than watch your segment. And as much as I support Tiffany Stratton, the issue is if I like Tiffany Stratton, but I dislike Charlotte Flair so much I'd rather watch something else, then I'm going to do that. So what I think they need to do moving forward is Charlotte needs to take a bit of a back seat and let Tiffany Stratton have her moments, because Charlotte Flair is solidified and Tiffany Stratton needs to work her way up the card further to solidify herself as a women's main eventer. And if Charlotte is too nervous to have other women main eventers at the top of the card, then maybe Charlotte shouldn't be in those types of feuds. Just calling it like I see it. And again, I want to make it clear, my criticism for this moment only comes from how awkward the promo segment was. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Again, like I said, maybe this is exactly how it was planned, it's exactly how it went, and that's great. If that's the way it is, perfect. But for me, it just didn't sit super right, and I'm hoping that they do better in the future, because I want to care about every single match on WrestleMania, whether I like the performers or not. The next thing that I really didn't like, and I saw most people agree with me on this, it's the build between CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns, because what the heck even was that segment? The promo aspect was fine. It really wasn't what I was hoping from any of the guys in the ring, but it was perfectly fine. The real problem was when it got to the brawl, and that was one of the worst brawls I've ever seen, and it was probably one of the worst things that I've seen all three guys do throughout their careers. I don't know what was going on. It looked terrible, and I think a lot of people hold that opinion. It just kind of looked like a bunch of kids that didn't want to actually hurt each other trying to fight, instead of three guys who legitimately have the ammo to want to try to kill each other for real. Where was the real brawl? These three guys looked like they were pulling little baby shots at each other when we should be absolutely hammering at each other. Yeah, maybe you want to avoid it getting too heated. I get that. But you know what? If that's going to sacrifice the quality of TV and storytelling, then maybe you should get a little bit heat. So yeah, here I think I'm just reiterating much of the wrestling community's opinion on this match, in that these three guys need to do better, or they are seriously at risk of losing what is an obvious night one main event of WrestleMania. Because when I'm looking at the card right now, after that Friday Night SmackDown, I'm more interested in seeing Io Sky versus Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley main event night one over these three. So yeah, at this point, give the women the main event, because they are doing an excellent job, and dare I say, much better than this build we're seeing right now. But that's enough of the bad stuff. Let's talk about my fave 5 wrestlers of the week. Again, little tribute to one of my personal favorite wrestlers, Booker T. These are my 5 favorite wrestlers throughout the week. They can be from any WWE show, and I'll try and briefly explain why they have become my fave 5. They are not necessarily the most impactful. They are not necessarily the biggest winner of the week. They are just the people I personally enjoyed the most this week. And we have to kick it off with a few honorable mentions. I just want to mention Stephanie LeClaire, Montez Ford, and Cody Rhodes, all of who I think had great weeks, but didn't quite make the list. Kicking it off at number 5, we have Roman Reigns. And it's hard not to put Roman Reigns on a list like this, because he's so good and he's so comfortable in his character. Every time you see Roman Reigns, you watch the crowd stand up because they know Roman is coming. Everybody loves to see him. Everybody wants to hear what he has to say. And Roman did do a good job in the promo aspect of the three-way feud. It's really, really nice to see Roman Reigns back on weekly television. So as long as he remains there and he keeps doing things that are interesting and we avoid the weird, awkward brawls, I think Roman Reigns will probably continue to be in the Fave 5 list for the foreseeable future. At number 4, we have Chelsea Green for what was an excellent match with Sol Ruca on NXT. Again, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. Realistically, this spot could be Chelsea Green and Sol Ruca, but I decided to go with Chelsea Green because I think she did just that little bit more. While not necessarily as good in the ring as Sol Ruca, she was excellent in terms of storytelling and her character work. At number 3, we have Randy Orton for cutting one of the best promos I've heard in a long time, and if it wasn't for another promo, he might even be higher up on this list. I just gotta say, thank you, Randy, for a great promo. It reminded me why you are as good as you are and why everybody loves you as much as they do. At number 2, we have Penta. Like I said, it was a huge week for Penta. It's really fun to watch Penta. He's probably my girlfriend's second favorite wrestler right now, other than Otis, for whatever reason. Everything from Penta's presentation to his moveset, he is a guy to watch, and I'm excited to see him go for the Intercontinental Championship. And at number 1, we have heel John Cena. How could it not be? The moment was heart-wrenching. He broke up with you, he broke up with me. We've all been talking about it all week. It was so good. It's hard not to say that John Cena is the guy that people want to see the most right now in the WWE. And in these little weekly roundups, I also want to say the 3 big things that I want to see improve moving forward into the next week and beyond. And we're going to start with number 3, the Jey Uso build. I've said enough about it. I'm not going to reiterate it. We need to improve the Jey Uso build. At number 2, we need to improve the flow of Raw and SmackDown. And these are just little disjointed things. These aren't major criticisms. I think both shows are still tons of fun to watch. I think there's just tiny tweaks that could be made to both to really maximize match time, promo time, anything else. I think these shows can continue to be optimized to be the perfect wrestling experience for fans. And number 1, the biggest thing that needs to improve moving forward is the build for the men's triple threat. Another thing that I'm not going to reiterate, but my God, the brawl on this episode of SmackDown was really disappointing. And I know we as wrestling fans all expect more from three guys that are easy Hall of Famer. But that has been this week's WWE Wrestling Roundup. Thank you for tuning in and hanging out with me. Hopefully you made it to the end, and if you did, feel free to like and subscribe to this video. Help me reach my goal of getting to 100 subscribers before WrestleMania 41. There is so much more wrestling content coming. We are trying to put out a wrestling video every single day, so please like, subscribe, follow along for more wrestling content every single day that you can engage with. And let's hope that this week of professional wrestling is even better than the last.